Okay, so imagine, right? It's 3 a.m., sirens are going off like crazy,
Oh, man.
and you've got this crew of firefighters. They're totally in the zone, tackling this massive blaze.
Yeah.
They're finally starting to get a handle on it, and bam, shift, change.
Oh,
Can you
no.
picture the next crew rolling in? Totally clueless, no idea what's been done, what's hot, what's not.
Total chaos.
Chaos, exactly. Thankfully, that's not how firefighting works, or cybersecurity for that matter, but you get the point, right? Smooth handoffs, they're absolutely crucial. And in the world of cybersecurity, those handoffs, well, they've got to be airtight.
Absolutely. No room for error.
And that's what we're diving into today, folks, mastering that art of the SOC handoff. For anyone new to the acronym party, SOC stands for Security Operations Center. Basically, your 2,147 digital defenders working around the clock to keep those cyber threats at bay.
Exactly.
And we're going to unpack how to make those shift changes seamless using this really cool system called the seat swap method.
I love that one.
Think of it as like a playbook for a flawless relay race. Except instead of passing a baton, we're passing on critical security info, making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
And you hit the nail on the head with mission critical. Because, see, it's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day, the grind of cybersecurity. But a botched handoff, man, that can have some seriously real-world consequences.
Right, like we're not just talking about some numbers on a screen glitching out here.
No, we're talking hospitals going offline,
Yeah.
financial systems grinding to a halt,
Wow.
even entire cities plunged into darkness. It's a big deal.
Okay, that took a bit of a dark turn, but you're absolutely right. It's not just about checking boxes on a checklist.
No, sir.
It's about keeping systems and people safe.
Exactly. Real stakes.
And that's where this whole seat swap method comes in. It's all about building that culture of consistency, and clear communication.
You got it.
Now, we've got some awesome material to dig into today. We've got excerpts from a Lighthouse Labs cybersecurity course
Love their stuff.
and this really insightful article by Chris Crowley over at Security Bull.
You guys got some good insights.
They both really emphasize the why behind a good handover, why it's so crucial.
Absolutely.
And the Lighthouse Labs material, it really highlights that feeling of being slammed with information, like you're drinking from a fire hose. Ever felt that way, starting a new job or project?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That drinking from the fire hose feeling, it's all too common, especially in cybersecurity. And you know what? Crowley actually addresses that in his article. He talks about the importance of dovetailed schedules.
Dovetailed schedules.
Yeah, basically overlapping shifts just enough to avoid that info dump.
Okay, so not just like, here's your desk, see ya.
More like a gradual handover.
Right.
Allows for more natural knowledge transfer. Kind of like that onboarding buddy system some companies use.
Right. Makes the transition a little less overwhelming.
Exactly. Especially in a high-pressure world like a SOC.
Definitely makes you feel less like you're drowning in data on day one, right?
100%.
Okay, so let's unpack this seat swap thing, starting with SEAT, which stands for Setting the Stage for Success.
Love it.
And Lighthouse Labs breaks it down like this: staff, explanation, awareness, and transition.
Solid breakdown.
They really emphasize the staff part. Like, it's not just about clocking in and being physically present. It's about showing up mentally prepared to be engaged.
Oh, being present and engaged is crucial. Crowley echoes that in his article, too. He says, if that time for the handover gets squeezed, someone's rushing out the door, the whole thing can fall apart. It's about being present, not just physically, but mentally engaged in the process.
So no checking your phone for the latest cat memes during the handover then.
Maybe save those for your coffee break. No, the point is active participation from both sides, the incoming and the outgoing team. That's key.
Right, makes sense. All right, next up in our seat breakdown explanation. This is where Crowley uses a term. I love the checklist trap.
Oh, yeah, the checklist trap.
It's so easy to just go through the motions, ticking boxes without really understanding what's going on, what it all means.
It's a real danger. It's about genuine knowledge transfer, right? The outgoing team. They need to paint a clear picture for the incoming team. What's the current situation? What are the major concerns? What actions have already been taken? And it's got to be a two-way street. The incoming team needs to be asking questions, clarifying anything that's unclear.
So more of a dialogue than a download.
Exactly. Back and forth is key.
I like it. Now, building on this idea of explanation, let's talk about awareness. Lighthouse Labs really stresses anticipating those internal gotchas, like that one system that always seems to act up at the worst possible time.
Oh, yeah. Every team's got one of those.
Right. But Crowley, he takes this idea of awareness a step further. He's all about incorporating broader threat intelligence into the handoff process. So not just knowing what's going on inside your own network, but also what's brewing out there in the wild west of the internet.
Exactly. Understanding the broader threat landscape. It allows you to connect the dots more effectively
Okay.
and even anticipate those potential issues before they become major incidents. It's the difference between being proactive and reactive in your security approach.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit of a crash course in threat intelligence here. So, like, how do you actually do that?
Think of it like this. You wouldn't just board up your windows when a storm's already raging, would you?
Good point.
You'd want to check those weather forecasts, maybe reinforce your roof, invest in a good generator, right? Threat intelligence is kind of like your cybersecurity weather report, helps you prepare for what's coming.
Okay, that's a great analogy. So, incorporating that threat intel into the handoff, it's like you're not just telling the next shift what's on fire, but also where the potential fire hazards are lurking, right?
Precisely. And Crowley actually gives some good examples of how to do this. Regular threat intelligence briefings, integrating that real-time threat data into your systems, even recording those briefings so the incoming team can review later.
Got it. So it's about making sure everyone's up to speed on the latest threats and how those might impact your specific systems.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
Right. All right, almost through our SEAT checklist. Last but definitely not least, we've got transition. And both of our sources, they're on the same page here. Continuity is key. It's all about that smooth baton pass, ensuring nothing, and I mean nothing, slips through the cracks.
Couldn't agree more.
But Crowley, he drops a bit of a truth bomb here.
Oh, tell me more.
He says that these shift changes, they can't magically fix any underlying process issues.
He's right about that.
If there's like a fundamental flaw in how the SOC operates, just changing shifts won't solve it.
Nope. Got to fix the root of the problem.
So don't expect the handoff process to be a band-aid for deeper organizational problems.
Exactly. Like Crowley says, you got to fix the inconsistency problem via another mechanism, basically.
Yeah.
Address the root cause.
So address the leaky faucet. Don't just keep handing off the bucket.
Now you're getting it.
All right, so we've set the stage with SEAT. We know why it matters, who needs to be there, and the importance of clear communication and a big picture awareness.
Solid foundation.
But how do we actually make this handover stick? That's where SWAP comes in. And we'll dive into that right after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. And we're back, diving into this whole world of SOC handoffs. Still got those cybersecurity pros in mind, passing that torch one shift to the next.
Got to keep that torch lit, right?
Exactly. We've covered SEAT setting the stage. Now it's all about the how-to, the actual handover itself, SWAP.
The swap, yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Love it. And Lighthouse Labs, they break it down like this. Situation, written, accurate, persistence.
Catchy.
Right. Nice little acronym to keep it all straight. Let's start with situation. Crowley, he's a big believer in urgency here. That outgoing team, they've got to clearly communicate what needs immediate attention, what's on the back burner, what can wait.
Prioritization,
Right.
It's key. Imagine you're coming onto a shift and it's just this avalanche of info, no rhyme or reason to it. Where do you even begin?
Yeah, totally overwhelmed.
Exactly. Crowley emphasizes that the handover, it should focus on those most pressing issues.
The hair on fire stuff.
Yeah, the ones that need action right now. And this actually ties back to what we were saying before about those dovetailed schedules
Yeah.
that overlap. It allows for more nuance, right? You can go beyond just the emergencies.
So it's not just shouting fire in a crowded SOC. It's about, like, giving context, painting that clear picture for the incoming team.
Exactly. Context is king in these situations.
Okay, moving on to written. Both sources, they're big on documentation, but for different reasons, it seems.
Yeah, they come at it from different angles.
Right. What did you get from the Lighthouse Labs material?
Well, they're all about that paper trail. Having a record of what was discussed, what was agreed upon CYA.
Cover your... got it. But Crowley, he takes it a step further. He highlights how that written documentation, it becomes this super valuable reference point later on.
Oh, I see what you mean, like a knowledge base, something the team can always refer back to.
Mhm.
Exactly. Think of it like a detective's case file.
Yeah.
Got all the details, the evidence, the analysis. It's there if you need it.
Love that analogy. Keeps things consistent too, right? Even if you've got different analysts handling different parts of an issue.
Absolutely. Keeps everyone on the same page.
Mhm.
And speaking of different folks, different strokes, Crowley's also a big advocate for playing to different learning styles. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Right, right. Some people learn by reading, some by listening, some by doing.
Exactly. He even says some people prefer to read it, Some people prefer to listen, and some people prefer to see it. So he's all about using multiple formats.
So not just those dry written reports, spice it up a bit.
Exactly. Written reports, recorded briefings, even visual aids. Throw in a chart or a diagram, why not?
And speaking of visual aids, Lighthouse Labs, they actually recommend using screen recordings, like from actual investigations.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's next level.
Right, because it's one thing to read about a security incident, it's another to actually see how it played out.
Seeing is believing, right. And that brings us to accurate. Seems kind of obvious, but Crowley is really adamant about this. Accuracy, but also urgency. You got to find that balance.
Right, because you don't want to drown them in details.
No, information overload is a real thing.
But you also don't want to leave out anything crucial.
It's a fine line, for sure.
Gotta find that sweet spot. Don't bury the lead. Okay, we're at the home stretch now. Persistence. This one really resonated with me. Even if there's like nothing major to report, nothing to report is still a report.
You got it. Silence can be deafening, you know. It's about building that culture of consistency. Crowley, he says that's absolutely fundamental for a strong SOC.
Because if you only hear something when it's bad news, you're going to start associating that silence with bad news.
Exactly. But if you have that constant flow of information, even when things are calm, it builds trust.
Everyone's always in the loop. Love it. Okay, so we've got our 4 elements of SWOT situation: written, accurate, persistence. But how do we actually, put this into practice? What's the secret sauce?
Honestly, yeah, there isn't one. And both of our sources, they kind of agree on that. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
They're gears.
The tools, the techniques, all that stuff, it depends, Your organization size, the way it's structured, the kinds of threats you're facing, it all factors in.
So take these principles, the seat swap method, and make it your own.
Adapt or die, right. That's the name of the game in cybersecurity.
And in life, probably. But the main takeaway, it seems like, is that communication is key.
100%. It's the heart of any successful SOC handoff. Without it, you're lost.
That's what's so cool about this whole seat swap thing, right? It's not just some rigid checklist.
It's a framework, yeah, a starting point.
Exactly. It gives you that solid foundation, those core principles, but you can tailor it, make it work for you.
Because every SOC is different, right?
Yeah.
Different environments, different threats.
Exactly. And that's something Crowley really drives home in his article. In fact, he even says, this isn't just about cybersecurity. Oh, really? I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, he's basically saying these principles we've been talking about, clear communication, consistent documentation, understanding those different learning styles.
Yeah.
He says they apply to any field, anything where knowledge transfer is important.
So it's not just about keeping the hackers out, it's about just being a better communicator in general.
Exactly. Because think about it. How many times have you started a new job?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Or joined a project that's already in motion? Or even just tried to explain something complicated to a coworker? In that handover, it wasn't pretty.
Oh, man, been there so many times. It's like trying to put together furniture with only half the instructions.
That's a good way to put it. But imagine, right, if we approach those situations, new employee, handing off a project, whatever, with that same level of rigor.
Like it was a matter of national security, probably.
Exactly. That attention to detail, that focus on clear communication, that's what Crowley's advocating for.
I can get behind that. We'd probably save ourselves a lot of headaches.
100%. Way less frustration all around. And that's really his point. This isn't just some niche cybersecurity thing.
It's bigger than that.
It's about applying these principles, seat swap, whatever you want to call it, to any area of life where communication matters. Because, let's face it, it matters everywhere.
Truer words have never been spoken. So as you head back out into the world, folks, whether you're battling those cyber threats, wrangling spreadsheets, or just trying to explain that Wi-Fi password to your family,
We've all been there.
remember what we talked about today. Remember those key takeaways. Set the stage for success. Get the right people, those clear explanations, that awareness of the big picture, and a smooth transition. That's SEAT.
Nail those down.
Then make that handoff stick. Focus on the situation at hand, clear in documentation, accurate info, persistent communication. That swap. It's not just about cybersecurity, folks. It's about clear communication no matter what you're doing.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Communication is key.
And who knows, maybe, just maybe, those cybersecurity best practices, they might help you navigate all sorts of tricky situations. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep on diving deep.